meeting of the School Board of Directors business meeting for May 18, 2020 to order. Prior to moving on to business, I would like to note a change of agenda. We will be moving items 8, which is board communication, and item 9, which is board discussion. They will be changed to items 11 and 12, and we will be moving up those items. The reason we're doing that is we know we have some folks who are tuning in because there is a particular topic of conversation that people wish to engage in involving some news that has come out, which is not so pleasant from the school. Rather than having our discussion about this in the middle of recognizing our students and recognizing our retirees, we decided that we would move it to the end. I'd also like to remind everyone that we have 2 periods of public comment that will be coming up. The first item of public comment, everyone is welcome to make a comment. However, we will remind you that that is items on the agenda itself, and non-agenda items will be in the second portion of public comment. Having said that, we will move on to item 2 of our agenda, which is an executive session announcement. The Board of School Directors met on the following dates in executive session to discuss items in one or more of the following areas: personnel or legal matters. May 4th, 2020, May 16th, 2020, May 18, 2020, which is actually this evening immediately following this school board meeting. Now move on to the superintendent's report, item 3. Dr. Lloyd?
Thank you so much. And the big excitement, of course, is the arrival of the graduation gown. So for those of you on the board, you know all about how we had 60 teachers and administrators deliver graduation gowns to our seniors. There's a wonderful tribute on our Facebook page and Twitter that I encourage you to check out, but make sure that you have a tissue because it will bring tears to your eyes. It's so moving. This week we started, or we continued, I should say, the recording of the virtual graduation. So students, the first 100 students arrived today to be videotaped walking across the stage. And so we will be continuing every day with the recording of the virtual graduation. That will air on June the 5th. Just a reminder that we do have several other days, hoping that the governor lifts the stay put orders and more than 25 people can gather. So if we get to that green, we have some other dates set up for graduation. We have Friday, June the 26th, and we have Friday, July the 10th. And if we still can't make it happen, we still have Friday, August 14th that we'll be shooting for. The high school already has informed parents that if we can, we'll also do prom that week, senior breakfast, and all those things that our students look forward to at the end of the school year here. So there's more to come for our seniors. I can't give away any of the other things that the high school has planned, but just know they have more things planned to make the end of this school year special. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Carolyn Slade. She is one of our assistant principals at the high school, and she is going to be introducing you to this year's valedictorian and the salutatorians, and then they have special tributes. This is our tradition here at O&J that they will be making to teachers. So Mrs. Slade.
Good evening. So on behalf of the school board, I would like to recognize the valedictorian and salutatorians of the class of 2020. As Dr. Lloyd mentioned, each of the students are going to read a statement about a teacher that had a significant impact on them, and then in turn that teacher will make some remarks about the student. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our valedictorian of the class of 2020, excuse me, Annie Arditi. She's going to be attending the University of Pennsylvania and studying finance. Annie?
Hi, everyone. So
Hi, Annie.
I'm honoring Mr. P tonight, Mr. Polachek. So it's very infrequently that a student has the opportunity to know and learn from a teacher for multiple years, much less 8 years. I've been fortunate enough to have Mr. Christopher Polachek, who we fondly refer to as Mr. P, for my 5th and 6th grade in class, and then also up to now as my Odyssey of the Mind. In elementary, he would create intriguing and applicable lessons under the guise of fun. We learned about teamwork, creativity, structural integrity, and other unique lessons. This was unlike any teacher I had ever experienced. As I've grown, I've come to realize also that when we were young, he treated us much more like equals, making us feel valuable and even learning more. I remember specifically in 6th grade, we were learning about different types of rocks when a kid in my class asked, "Why are we doing this?" Mr. P didn't give us a general answer or an indifferent response like I expected or got from my other teachers, but he told us that sometimes school is about learning how to learn. This distinct statement lingered with me even to this day, allowing me to put many lessons into perspective. As an Odyssey of the Mind coach, he constantly urged me and my teams to do our best work, stressing fluency of thought and training us to create many solutions to various problems. All the while, he encouraged us to highlight our talents and find any way we could to use them in the context of the competition. During the competition, he constantly demonstrated to us and taught us how to win and lose honorably. Arguably the most important, though, he always supported me and my teams. He would spend hours upon hours after school on the weekends, letting us practice and enabling our successes. I'm so grateful to have had Mr. P as an insightful, inspirational, and supportive teacher and coach for these past 8 years.
That was wonderful, Annie. That was wonderful. Mr. P, do you have a few words you wanted to say?
And I do it after I'm done crying. Annie, thank you very much, Angel. You brought a smile to my face ear to ear, which is the perfect segue to what I wanted to say to you tonight. Clearly, hon, you have a great deal of academic talent. Your selection as O&J's valedictorian validates that fact. But anyone who tries to define you, Annie, solely by your many cognitive talents is totally missing out on the best part of Annie Arditi. Now, like you said a couple minutes ago, I've been fortunate enough to work with you for the last 8 years as a teacher, as a coach. And the traits that I find most impressive are your character traits, hon, who you are at your core. Now, I'm sure you've heard the old adage, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. And many people share that sentiment, but very few can live up to that ideal. I never remember you once complaining about classwork, homework, or any task that needed to be completed for the numerous activities of which you are a part. You always managed to put a smile on your face, even when you were showing up for school ridiculously early on a Saturday or Sunday morning. And more impressive still, Angel, your attitude is contagious. Whenever I see you working with others, everyone in that group is wearing a smile. You bring a lot of light into the world, hon. You have an affinity for bringing out the best in others and making work fun. Now this spring, every school around the country is going to select and honor a valedictorian. These school districts do it every year, but there's something no other school district can boast. They might have a valedictorian, but they don't have an Annie Arditi. Your persona is not only infectious, Angel, it's inspiring. Keep a hold of that gift the rest of your life, because this sets you apart from even those that would call themselves your academic peers. Congratulations, Angel. This honor is well deserved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Polochek. I invite the school board to honor Annie Arditi at this time. Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Slade, who's next?
All right, so next we have our first salutatorian, Ethan Burns, who will also be matriculating at the University of Pennsylvania and studying a pre-medical track, double majoring in biology and health and societies. Ethan?
Hi, I would like to feature Mrs. Fraunheiser. Prior to starting calculus last year, I was scared and I was anticipating a struggle as the subject is stereotypically the most difficult of high school. Thankfully, not only was calculus not a struggle with Mrs. Fraunheiser, it quickly went from my biggest fear to my favorite class. Not only was Mrs. Fraunheiser the best teacher I've had in all of high school at explaining anything. But calculus has some of the hardest concepts to begin with, and everything that she explained to us just clicked instantly. She was always prepared. She knew exactly what we need to master a concept, and she used unconventional techniques that would help further our understanding, such as Play-Doh, to visualize topics such as integrals. Overall, I just admire her dedication. She was always extremely kind to us. She planned everything out perfectly just to make sure that we can master each concept without wasting time. You could always tell how much she cared about making sure we understood and enjoyed everything. And for that, I say thank you, Mrs. Fraunheiser.
Thank you, Ethan. Mrs. Fraunheiser, I know you have a few words.
I do. Thank you for those kind words, Ethan. So first of all, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on your recognition as the class of 2020 salutatorian. One of the things that you would notice about Ethan upon meeting him, which I had the pleasure of doing last year, is that Ethan is a student who doesn't just accept things at face value. Ethan wants to know the reason behind them. He wants the proof. And calculus was a perfect place for him to explore that. So, you know, as he said, calculus is a subject that traditionally is kind of scary for a lot of kids. And it's also one of the places where a lot, or if not all, of the concepts that they've learned over the years in math just come together in ways that they have previously not ever seen before. And as I would present the new material, I could almost see Ethan's brain working. You could see he as he was looking at the concepts, that he was trying to process the connections and analyze the intricacies of the subject. Ethan, you demonstrated an exceptional ability to understand and to process the mathematical concepts. You always were able to find unique solutions and connections between the concepts. You weren't afraid to question me, you know, for further understanding, or, you know, I remember a number of situations where you would approach me as, well, hey, can't I do it this way? And, you know, 9 times out of 10, yes, you could. So the ability to really, you know, kind of go off track and really develop your own personal knowledge is something that's really to credit to you. Ethan also brought that same clarity to his role as the treasurer of our newly formed Mu Alpha Theta this year. That's our Math Honor Society. Last year, upon hearing that this group was being formed, he quickly approached me with interest in becoming an officer. And that's an offer that I gladly accepted, and can tell you that I'm very happy that I did. Ethan, I always appreciated that you used your logical mind to get to the heart of whatever we were discussing. You know, sometimes our meetings could occasionally kind of go off track, but you were able to get right in there and, you know, get to, okay, let's get down to business. Let's do what we need to do. And honestly, as we've navigated the intricacies of forming this new club, Ethan, you've been invaluable in your quick responses to your treasurer reports. Even throughout our school closure, I've had to call on you a number of times, and you've been right there, and I can't tell you how much I truly appreciate that. You have truly become an invaluable part of what are now the founding members of this honor society, so you should be very proud of yourself. Ethan, I am so excited to see where your future leads you. I have every confidence that you're going to make a difference. You're going to find a lot of success, and I'm going to miss you. So congratulations on your graduation and on earning the recognition of salutatorian.
Congratulations, Ethan.
Thank you, Mrs. Fraunheiser. I'll miss you too.
That was sweet. Thank you very much, Mrs. Slade.
All right, and finally, we have salutatorian Marlena Langdon, who will be studying at Haverford College, majoring in biology. Marlena.
Hi, everyone. Today I'm honoring Mrs. George. 3 years, 3 classes, limited time. But I've gained unquantifiable wisdom, a life direction, a second family, and a lifetime mentor. It is impossible to fully describe how Mrs. George has impacted me in just 250 words. She's raw, real, and human. Her classroom environment, not just the lessons, teaches her students valuable moral lessons and real-world applications. She's not just a teacher, but rather a mother, a geneticist, and a researcher. Her worldly experience ties her classes back into digestible reality. All these factors make her students feel comfortable and allow them to open up and embrace themselves. She is by far the most engaged and caring teacher I have met. Mrs. George has watched me grow, lived through family and friend issues, and has guided me when I have problems. She's made me realize my calling in life and continuously encourages her classes to engage in biological fields. She's been the one to look out for me in times of turbulent transitions, times in which I thought I was at my lowest points. And when I'm at my highs, like when I'm getting into my dream college, there to celebrate with me. Mrs. George not only watched me grow, but also watched me live on the Costa Rica trip. She showed me a new world, both macroscopic and microscopic. That trip has led me to the group of friends that I can call my second family, and I cannot imagine my life without them. This is not a goodbye, but rather a thank you for supporting me and being a fellow squirrel enthusiast.
That was so sweet. Mrs. George, I'm certain you have a couple of comments.
I do. Thank you so much. So I have a little squirrel here for you, Marlene. I obviously don't have to point that out, but that's from my daughter for you. I do want to say thank you to you for choosing me and to the board members for having me here tonight. It's such an honor, as I know you've had many amazing teachers here at ONJ, and I'm thrilled to be here to celebrate your accomplishment. I've had the privilege of having you in class for the past 3 years, and in that time, I have watched you develop into such a confident young woman. As a sophomore, you made it very clear that you had your eye on this prize and that you were willing to do whatever work was needed to be done in order to achieve it. You excelled in my honors biology class while taking 3 other honors courses as well as an AP course. The following year, I had you back for my honors ecology course, and the Costa Rica trip was awesome. And you did all of that while you were doubling up on sciences, concurrently taking honors chemistry, several AP courses. You joined the IB program. You built a tiny house. You volunteered, and you did so much more. And I knew you could do it all. And it was a pleasure to cheer you on. This year, you continued your trend of taking 2 sciences, my honors dual enrolled genetics, along with AP Bio, AP Latin, AP Statistics, IB Philosophy. No coasting to the finish line for you. That's just not your style. You clearly are extremely intelligent, but you are so talented as an artist as well. And I have the honor of having a piece of your artwork in my room, custom made for me, a sculpture with 3 hatching baby turtles. I will always have this to remember you by, but it won't be needed. Marlena, you have truly been an unforgettable student in every possible way. I will miss your questions. Oh, so many questions. And I will miss your kindness and your ability to care for yourself, your friends. The list goes on and on. Marlena, congratulations. I wish you the best of success as you take your many talents to Haverford. Go Squirrels.
Congratulations, Marlena. Thank you, Mrs. Slade. Thank you, teachers, for joining us tonight. All right, moving on. Next, we want to thank John Buckwalter, who I see is impersonating his dad tonight as Jerry Buckwalter. John, on behalf of the school board, we want to thank you for serving as the student body representative on the board. We hope that we've given you an inside look on how government works. We certainly enjoyed having you at the table with us and hearing your insights.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. I also have something to say real quick. I'd like to show my appreciation to each and every school board official, as I've truly learned each and every meeting I've been, I'd like to show my appreciation to each school board official as I've truly enjoyed each and every meeting I've been so lucky to attend. And although our time together was cut short, it is clear to me that each member of the council shows great dedication to helping the ONJ Roberts students and community thrive. And I'd also just like to wish my man Dante a good luck for his upcoming senior year and let him know that I'm positively confident that he will make an outstanding student body president.
Thank you, John. I believe you told me you're going to Penn State.
I am, yes.
And what will you be studying there?
Landscape architecture.
Ah,
So yeah.
Nice.
that's very exciting. And you're not the first member of your family to go to Penn State, is that right?
No, I am the 5th. Both my parents and then 2 siblings are already there.
That's impressive. Mr. San Francisco, where is Dante DiNardo? I think I saw him sign on to the call here tonight. I'd like to introduce him to the school board. While we're locating Dante out there in the crowd, John, the school board does have a token of their appreciation for you. Normally we would get you something from your college, but couldn't actually make that happen this year. So instead, the school board has an Amazon gift card for you that I'll make sure you get.
Wow, thank you. Appreciate that.
There's always something that we need. So members of the school board and Mr. Davis, our solicitor, I would like to introduce you to the new student government president, Dante DiNardo. Dante, welcome.
We are getting him unmuted right now.
Oh, we have to wait for him to be unmuted.
Welcome,
Although
Dante.
I don't think that he is a young man of few words, because he's prolific on Twitter, and so he's usually commenting on Twitter for me.
I'll fill the void and welcome you as well.
John, what advice do you have for Dante being on joining the board?
Honestly, when I first started out, I was nervous. I don't know why, but I was. And honestly, my best advice for him would just to go into it excited, not nervous. Because especially me, my time with you guys was kind of a little bit short. So it kind of took me like a couple meetings to like transition into like, okay, this is like neat. I get to like listen to all this. But I really wish I just went into it with that mindset, because I feel like I would have learned a little bit more.
Well, that is good advice, because I don't think, none of them bite, so I don't think anyone bit you in the time that you were with us.
Yeah, no, you guys were all great.
Dante's having some technical issues.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, well, maybe he will be able to join us later, and the board can welcome him at that time. This concludes my report, Mr. President.
Great, thank you, Dr. Lloyd. We will move on to item 4, which is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to provide a statement of up to 3 minutes. Please indicate your name, township of residence, and the item on the agenda to which your comments are addressed. Once again, this is the agenda items portion of public comment. In this circumstance, you got the basic rundown, but remember you need to use the raise hand function on your Zoom app or on your computer so that we know that we can plug you in or whatever Paul is doing for us. So is there any comment right now?
I have 2 so far.
Okay, I'll let you call on the first one.
Okay, first is Heather McCreary.
Muted.
So I just wanted to say 2 quick comments. The first one, a shout out on 11.3 on the retirements, especially to Donna Brady and Cheryl Murkowski. This district has benefited greatly from both of your services, so thank you for that. The second one is item 7.5, meeting minutes. We went to a lot of trouble, and I thank you, Mr. Minor, for getting us live comment. But before we had live comment, we had to send in written questions. And those written questions, I feel, should be attached to the minutes that are of record now, because my last minutes do not indicate the extensive topic where I asked you last month to take care of the graduates, the seniors, especially now with what has come up with Mr. Rott. I really think we owe them every single thing we can, which is including some parents wrote in and wanted to have a parade. They wanted to have signs on the campus. We need to give them everything we can to make them remember what a great district OJR is. Thank you.
Carl. I believe Dante's back. Do you want to bring him in?
Yeah. Without objection, if we can give Dante a chance to say hello, I appreciate it.
All right. Let's see if we can unmute his mic this time, Mr. San Francisco. There he is.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I disconnected as you were introducing me.
You can only disconnect in this setting.
I just want to thank John for his service and for wishing me luck. And I'm looking forward to working with everyone here. Hopefully we can build a nice relationship and get things done.
Great. Looking forward to working with you.
Awesome, Dante. Welcome aboard.
Yes. Welcome aboard, Dante.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid to engage with any of us. Please do.
Dante, I am sure that the board is wondering how, I'm sure, Dante, the board is wondering how remote learning is going for you.
As a junior, it's pretty tough. It's tough getting used to, but I think I'm getting used to it now. I think a lot of people are getting used to it.
We lost him again.
When technology is
We're gonna have to get a better connection.
Yep, we will. Particularly if we have to stay in this format, we will want to hear what he has to say.
There he is.
All right, back to you, Leslie.
Do we have any additional comments?
Just disconnected me again.
Oh, there you are.
As I was saying, I think a lot of people are getting used to it. I think a lot of people don't want to admit that the structure of school really helps them. You know, being on a schedule every day actually really helps, and a routine really helps. So.
That's for sure. And learning is social, and we learn from each other.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we look forward to hearing your reports in the fall. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. All right, Leslie, back on to public comments. Mr. San Francisco, if you lower hands after people had their questions answered, that helps us.
All right, so next is Young Repub 45.
Hi, I am Bryn Longworth, North Coventry Township. I am speaking to 12.14 about funds dedicated to sexual abuse, training, awareness, etc. I will also talk about 12.12 as well, as I have a sister in the 11th grade. I just would like to know, is Mr. Rott receiving full benefits and or salary while on administrative leave? Thank you so much, school board.
Thank you.
All right, next I have.
Yeah, please go.
Okay, Denise Wilson.
I need you to unmute me. Hi, my name is Denise Wilson. I'm from East Vincent, and I am speaking on agenda item 1212, the budget. The board owes a fiduciary duty to the residents of the district. If you are setting forth a budget that raises taxes and cuts programs, you need to do better. Paul Friel, as finance chair, spoke of helping seniors. Now you are looking to raise the taxes when you were hit, when they were hit the hardest. You have administrators, including the athletic director, that are not working. They are staffed, they are not working, and yet they are being paid in full. Are we going back to school in the fall for face-to-face learning? The district owes the public a complete overhaul of the amounts that are being paid. What happens to pay to play? This has been brought up over the years, and it's time to introduce this as a serious revenue source of over $200,000.
Okay, next is Tina Grant.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tina Grant. I am commenting on general comments and 1212, the budget. I'm a business owner and a taxpayer in the O&J Roberts School District and a concerned community member. I've attended several sessions of a school board hearing in which none of the school board members have attended. My understanding is that prior school board voted to terminate one of the teachers, namely Jody McMahon, and then voted to have someone else observe this hearing and provide them with the answers to finalize this matter. While this seems like a prudent use of your time, it is not the best path to justice or the truth in the case that has continued for 2 years. In light of the current revelations and what I have observed, I would like to raise my concerns today to you. In May of 2018, this teacher reported directly in writing to Dr. Susan Lloyd numerous concerns regarding fellow teacher and top union officer Stephen Roth. These include his inappropriate actions and the alleged intentional hiding of this by the high school principal, Dr. Marchini. Mrs. McCann.
Ms. Grant, can I ask you to pause for just a second?
Sure.
Can I just ask, this isn't precisely related to item 1212, which is the budget. I'm wondering if I could ask you to prepare this, read this statement at the non-agenda item time. This seems to be off of our agenda.
Okay, I just want to ask the question about the budget then in regard to that.
Please do.
Okay, my question is, this proceeding, this hearing has gone on for 2 years now, and you've incurred considerable financial burden to the taxpayers with the hearing officer, with the lawyers, and all the proceedings that happen in a hearing. My question is, what is the cost to the district for this hearing to continue for this amount of time, and when do you plan on settling it?
Okay, I see one more. I see Molly Graham.
Wait, Molly, your mic's not unmuted yet.
Unmute myself. There we go.
There you are.
I actually have a question if this is the appropriate time to read the letter from the student government representatives, or is that the second public?
Hi, Ms. Grant. It's the second one.
Great, thank you. I'll raise my hand then.
That's everybody.
Comments?
There are no further comments.
Okay, then we will close public comment on agenda items. Thank you very much. And I appreciate everybody bearing with us to get you in the right part of the agenda. We'll move on to item number 5, which is board committee reports. The first report is Committee of the Whole. The Owen J. Roberts, let's see, sorry, I need my glasses back on. It's horrible. The meeting of the Committee of the Whole was held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Virtually via Zoom. The Finance Committee and Curriculum and Instruction Committees met at this time. The board was provided with a draft copy of the meeting minutes to review. That is the extent of the Committee of the Whole report. We'll move on to item 5.2, which is Building and Grounds Committee. Melissa Booth is the chairperson. Ms. Booth.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening to all. Buildings and Grounds Committee met in conjunction with the Finance Committee regarding applicable budget issues, April 6, 2020. The decisions made will delay all but essential capital improvements and summer maintenance projects that are safety related due to anticipated financial stress. As far as the Buildings and Grounds update goes, earth removed during the middle school drainage repair was transported to the Cadmus Road Painter property in the fall of 2019, graded and seeded. This play field is not a sport regulation size and does retain a slight slope. However, with that said, if we are permitted to have students on athletic or play fields this 2020-2021 academic year, this play field will be put into use rotation. An East Vincent Elementary School PTA funded pavilion project will go forward with slight modification. Discussions have begun on reusing the recently educationally vacated East Coventry building. We anticipate to have a decision made by the end of the year, as previously announced. Buildings and Grounds agenda items for consideration this evening under new business. Agenda item 12.16, approval of agreements with East Coventry Township for closeout of the East Coventry Elementary School project as presented. Approval of agreements: 1, First Amendment to Land Development Agreement. 2, Bill of Sale for sanitary sewers. 3, Maintenance Agreement for sanitary and storm sewers. 4, Storm Sewer Maintenance Agreement. 5, deed of dedication for UROW East Cedarville Road and Old Schuylkill Road. Also, agenda item 12.17, approval of second amendment to the purchase and sale agreement approved February 18th, 2020 between the O&J Roberts School District and Pennsylvania American Water Company to exceed deadlines and change anticipated closing dates as presented. This agreement was initially amended during the April 20th, 2020 business meeting. To elaborate, these amendments have occurred and will continue to do so until court approval is received. Due to COVID-19, this court action is not considered essential to warrant emergency action. Buyer and seller are both anxious to finalize this sale. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Booth. Our next is 5.3, Chester County Unit. Our representative to the intermediate unit is Jennifer Munson. Ms. Munson?
All right. The Chester County Intermediate Unit did have a meeting on April 29th for the Board of Directors. That was held virtually in a Zoom session. They announced that they've delivered over 700,000 meals over the past 7 weeks, as well as virtual support for mental health, special ed, OT, and PT to multiple districts. They also donated PPE, personal protective equipment, that was part of the school, tech school programs to facilities, medical facilities within Chester County that needed them, and they are working with the County Economic Development Corporation. Sorry, not corporation, sorry. I'm not reading my own words. Working with the County Economic Development Organization to coordinate the discounted pricing for schools and medical facilities within Chester County so that everyone can benefit from having a lower price. Also, they are prepared in case there is an uptick in Brandywine Virtual Academy students because of the pandemic. If that should occur next year, they recommend that it is a very cost-effective option for parents who want to move to a virtual curriculum instead of sending their children to a physical school in the fall. And then also, the budget process is proceeding apace according to normal timelines. The core budget has been approved by OJR and the other school districts, which had no increase in it. The additional budgets that need to be approved so far are the occupational education and the marketplace budget. I also did a personal review of how they have done increases over the past 10 years. And for occupational education, they have tried to have a 0% increase as often as possible and have succeeded 5 of the past 10 years. This year, they are asking for a 1.3% increase. For the marketplace budget, usually increases in that budget are due to demand because those are the programs that we and other school districts get our savings from, that even though they're spending money, there is savings involved. So they are asking for a 1.49 average school district increase, but that all depends on how much a school district is participating in their programs. And categorical budget is one other budget that gets approved for the CCIU, but it does not actually impact school districts. So we do not vote on whether we need to approve that portion of it or not. That's the end of my report. Thank you, Mr. Minor.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 5.4, which is the Curriculum and Instruction Committee. That chairperson is Kathleen DiMarino. Ms. DiMarino.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Minor, and good evening, everyone. The Curriculum Committee met as a part of the Committee of the Whole on Monday, May 4th, and there was just one item on the agenda. A textbook was moved forward for the board's consideration, and that is on the agenda this evening. In addition, the curriculum department has been supporting the teachers and the students in the online learning environment. Many teachers have taken advantage of professional development opportunities for flex sessions during the school year and online. And these sessions included applications in Google Classroom and Canvas, as well as publisher-specific training for social studies, science, and math. The department has been vetting various digital resources for consideration for our academic program. Thank you, Mr. Minor.
Thank you very much. 5.5 is Extracurricular and Interscholastic Committee. Lydia Stutzman is chairperson.
Hello, everybody. The Extracurricular and Interscholastic Committee is not
met recently, so nothing to report.
Thank you very much. 5.6, Finance Committee. Chair is Paul Friel.
Good evening, everybody. So the budget, I'll draw your attention to agenda items 12.12, 12.14, which include tonight the board approval notice for the final budget. Obviously, next year's budget has been challenging, mainly due to the impact of COVID-19 and how is that going to affect our revenue. And although we anticipate utilizing savings from the current year to offset some of next year's budget deficit, we also look at and projecting a 3-year impact on COVID-19 and some of the economic issues, and we're going to spread out that savings over those 3 years. We are anticipating the 21-22 budget probably is going to be the more challenging of the budgets. So to give you an idea, the proposed budget that was discussed originally during the January 6th, then the March 2nd, then March 9th, April 6th, and the May 4th committee meetings. And now we have the final, well, I won't say final because it's fluid, but the final proposed budget, which is available on the district website. And any questions you have, you can get answered by contacting Jackie Crumrine as well. Just a note regarding the budget and the finance committee and the guidance that we as a committee have been looking to provide the administration. We're still looking for potential savings as the budget over this year and next year is going to be fluid. So we've met with our bond companies to see if there's a potential to restructure debt that we have, if there would be an economic benefit to do that. So that's near term what we're looking at in that debt restructure. We'll bring that back to the board if in fact there is a opportunity there. Midterm, longer term, I know we've talked with the board is, as we create a longer term workforce plan, aligning our resources with the goal and mission of the district, how do we target that approach as positions become vacant, and how do we align the workforce and our budget goals over the next 3 to 4 years? That's as we look and we are cognizant of taxpayer dollars here, we want to be very, very cautious on how they're spent. And we're going to be looking hard in this area as well. And then operational costs and building utilization. We have some properties that O&J has, the unused building, the East Coventry building that we need to make a determination on. So we're exploring each of these options as well as several others. And as they come up, we're going to bring them before the board if there's an opportunity to save money and to align the budget accordingly. So it's just a matter of ranking our budget priorities with the mission and lining that up. The other agenda item 12.15, the CCIU joint purchasing cooperative. Part of that budget is we purchase together collectively, and just bring your guys' attention to that. So that's the report for the budget presentation tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Friel. Item 5.7 is the Legislative and Policy Committee. John Melnizak is the chairperson. Dr. Melnizak.
Good evening, Mr. President. On May 11th, the Legislative and Policy Committee met via Zoom. The minutes from the previous LMP meeting from January 27th were finally approved. There were a number of policies discussed last week, many of which will be listed under tonight's agenda, 6.9, receipt of policies for the first reading. These include policy 005, which was amended to eliminate the extracurricular and interscholastic committee as a standing committee. There are also multiple policies and regulations that were reviewed for changes related to the renaming of guidance counselors to school counselors. So previously they were known as guidance counselors, and now the language was changed to school counselors as per the American School Counselor Association. Also included in the meeting were a series of policy changes recommended by the Pennsylvania School Board Association relating to tobacco and vaping products. Vaping was not a term that was used 10, 15 years ago when the original policy was set up. Regulation 707B was revised to allow community use of the track facilities. There are other policies that are still under discussion. These include 006 regarding virtual meetings, 701 regarding naming committees, and 707 regarding the use of school facilities. Well, we have scheduled a new LMP meeting for June. The date will be announced once it is agreed upon by committee members, and a major focus will be policies relating to student and staff safety. That is my report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 5.8, Personnel Committee. Lydia Stutzman is the chairperson. Ms. Stutzman?
Committee has not met outside of executive committee since the last board meeting. But as a note, and I think I mentioned this before, but we will be having evaluation, superintendent and assistant superintendent evaluations coming up shortly, and you all will see notes about that in your mailboxes soon. That's it.
Great, thank you very much. Item 5.9, People Services and Special Education Committee. Ms. Prophet.
Thank you. The People Services Department has been continuing full steam ahead during this time. Kathy and I were able to touch base with the special education coordinators for the district on April 23rd. Our special education department is continuing to maintain IEP deadlines and getting creative with supports. Our paraprofessionals are performing a wide variety of tasks, from participating with a child's Google Classroom, providing one-on-one support, modeling, and more. We are also continuing therapies for children, including behavioral therapy through the CCIU. It has also been decided that ESY will be held virtually this year, and it will commence in the normal date on June 29th, but virtually for all students that qualify through their IEP. Our school counselors are also providing mental health support as well as care packages for our families in need. A lot of great effort is coming from the People Services Department. And that's my report.
Great, thank you very much. Item 5.10, Technology and Communications Committee. And once again, this is Jennifer Munson. Ms. Munson?
The Technology and Communications Committee has not met since our last meeting. Thank you.
Take it easy. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 6, which is recommended routine matters. These are consent items. We'll be seeking a motion to approve routine matters, consent items 6.2 through 6.9. May I have a motion to approve the following routine matters, which are items 6.2 through 6.9 as action consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Okay, can all in favor please say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Sorry, I have a lot of flipping to do to get to the next section. Item 6.9 was included in that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. With Donna Brady gone, I'm highlighting the wrong thing. I'm gonna miss her so much. We'll move on to item 7, which is approval of routine matters, consent items. We'll be seeking a motion to approve routine matters, consent items 7.2 through 7.5. May I have a motion to approve the following routine matters, which are items 7.2 through 7.5 as action consent items?
Motion
So
to
moved.
Let's say Mr. Friel and Ms. Booth. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No opposition. The motion is passed unanimously. We are going to move on to item 8. Item 8, as previously noted at the beginning of the agenda, will now be moved to item 11. The former item 8, or item 9 will be moved to item 10. So we'll move on to the new item 8, which is old business. Do we have any old business to discuss? Okay, with none, we will move on to the new item 9, which is new business. This is approval of personnel matters. These are consent items. Be seeking a motion to approve personnel matters consent items 11.2 to 11.7. May I hear a motion to approve the following personnel matters, which are items 11.2 through 11.7 as action consent items?
So moved.
Ms. Prophet?
Second.
And Mr. Marino, I think.
Yeah.
Any discussion on these items?
Just want to say I'm really sad to see some of these people on retirement, for retirement. I don't know what we're gonna do without Donna. She basically helps run everything here.
Yes.
And then
Absolutely.
Marcy, I had when I was in middle school, so I'm really sad to see her going as well.
Yeah, and Stone Stafford taught a tough daughter for us. He had some observations that were right on the nose, and I'm not sure I can share them in a public meeting. So I'm very sorry to see him go.
I'll second that about Mr. Stafford. Big fan.
Okay, any discussion? You're hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, with regrets, we are accepting the resignation, certainly, and this motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Let's just see, Mr. Minor, if any of them are on the call by any chance. So when I call your name, if you're on the call, if you raise your hand, so we can read your retirement resolution. So Donna Brady, Janet Gibson, Chris Hawes, Cheryl Markovsky, Stone Stafford. Mr. San Francisco, were any of them on the call?
I do not see any hand raised.
All right. Well,
They're really retired. They're retired.
fully retired.
They're out.
They're out.
They're way gone.
Yes, it's way gone.
They will be sorely missed. All right. Thank you, Mr. Minor.
Thank you very much. Let's see. New item 10 is new business. Do I have that correct at this point?
Yes.
Let's
Yeah.
get the line. Former item 12.1, which I believe is now 10.1, is approval of textbooks for the 2020-2021 school year. May I seek an approval for motion to approve textbooks for the 2020-2021 school year as presented and approved by the Curriculum and Instruction Committee at the Committee of the Whole meetings on March 2nd and May 4th, 2020.
So moved.
Assessment.
Second.
And was that Mrs. Booth following up?
Yes, it was.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Item 10.2, former 12.2, approval of appointment of law firm for general legal counsel. May I have a motion to approve the appointment of Fox Rothschild LLP as general counsel for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 30, 2021 as presented.
So moved.
Mrs. Booth?
Mrs. Booth.
Mr.
Yes,
Friel.
so moved. Good.
Any questions or any comment rather? No discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? No opposition. The motion is approved unanimously. Item 10.3, former item 12.3, approval of the appointment of law firm for special education. I'm seeking a motion for approval of appointment of Sweet, Stevens, Katz, and Williams as legal counsel for special education for the period of July 1, 2020 through July 30, 2021 as presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Prophet
Second.
and Mr. Friel. Any discussion on this matter? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. No opposition, the motion passes unanimously. Item 10.4, which is former 12.4, approval of appointment of law firm for real estate assessment and appeals. I'm seeking an approval, motion to approve the appointment of Jurgi, Daler, Alabach, Sheffy, Picardi as legal counsel for real estate assessment appeals for the period of July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021. Motion, please.
So moved.
Ms. Booth, in a second.
Second.
Ms. Stutzman. Any discussion on this matter? Then all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition to this? Hearing none, the motion is passed unanimously. The only thing I'll ask for is a shorter one to read next time. Item 12.5 is current 10.5, former 12.5, approval of the appointment of law firm for construction matters. Seeking a motion to approve the appointment of Cagle, Kellen, Almy, and Lord LLP as legal counsel for construction matters for the period of July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021, as presented. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second it then.
We'll give it to Mr. Deal. He hasn't gotten a motion yet. So
That's fine. Yeah, fine.
Any discussion on this matter?
I don't have a discussion, but I would just like to say if you want to call them, our suite of legal team has served us very well for the last 2 years, and a few of them have served us well beyond the last 2 years.
Okay, thank you very much. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Say nay. Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. We will move on to the former 12.6, current 10.6, approval of annual filing of board officers' signature per facsimile signature act. I'm seeking a motion that approval be granted for the signatures of the school board president, secretary, treasurer who are involved with instruments of payment of public securities to be filed with the Secretary of the Commonwealth as per Uniform Facsimile Signature of Public Officials Act of July 25, 1961, PL 849 as amended in PS Section 302 et, however you say that. Mark, how do you say that? Sec? May I have a motion?
So moved.
He's muted.
Sorry.
You say that 3 times fast, Carl.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
Thank you. Was that Dr. Melnizak and Mrs. Booth as well? No, whoever picked that up. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing none, it is approved unanimously. Moving on to item 10.6, the former 10.7, I apologize, the former 12.7, which is approval. Wait a minute. Yes, that's correct. Approval of appointment, bond coverage, and facsimile signature for board treasurer. Seeking a motion for approval of appointment, bond coverage, and facsimile signature for board treasurer as presented. And motion, please.
So moved.
Ms. Profit
Second.
and Mr. Friel. Any discussion on this matter? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. None, it is passed unanimously. Item 12.8, current 10.8, former 12.8. Approval to authorize the school board's treasurer signature and facsimile signature. Seeking approval, motion to approve to authorize the school board's treasurer's signature and facsimile signature for district payroll and bank accounts. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Friel and Mr. Deal. Any discussion on this matter? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. With no opposition, it is passed unanimously. Former item 12.9, current item 10.9, approval of signatures for safe deposit box. Seeking a motion to approve the signatures for safe deposit box, approval of any 2 of the following 4 district employees to have access to the Owen J. Roberts safety deposit box for the 2020-2021 school year. The safety deposit box shall not be opened without at least 2 of the 4 persons physically present. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Mr. Friel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. New 10.10, former 12.10, approval of banks as depositories of school funds for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Seeking a motion to approve for approval of banks as depositories for 2020-2021 fiscal year as presented in the agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Booth?
Yes.
And a second. Mr. Melnizak. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Move on to item 12.11, former 12.11, current 10.11, authorization for employees to act as agents in signing vouchers and checks. Seeking motion for authorization for employees to act as agents and signing vouchers and checks for the 2020-2021 fiscal year as presented in the agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I missed whoever that was.
Kathy.
Thank you, Mrs. Stutzman, and a second.
I'll second it.
Wait a minute. The first was.
Kathy moved it. I'm seconding.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. And it is approved unanimously. Former item 1212, current item 1012, approval of resolution for authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising. Seeking approval of a motion for the resolution of authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Mr. Deal and Mrs. Booth. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the matter is approved unanimously. Item 12.13, or former 12.13, current 10.13. Approval of final budget notice, seeking a motion for approval of final budget notice as presented in the agenda.
Motion.
Can I get, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Motion, please.
Motion to approve it.
Mr. Friel, second.
Second.
Mr. Deal, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the matter is approved unanimously. Former 12.14, current 10.14, approval of proposed 2020-2021 governmental proprietary funds budget. Seeking a motion for approval of proposed 2020 to 2021 governmental proprietary funds budget as presented. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Friel, second.
Second.
Mr. Deal. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the matter is approved unanimously. Former item 12.15, current item 10.15, award of bids in accordance with CCIU joint purchasing agreement. Seeking a motion for approval to award of bid for the following items as presented on the notification of the joint joint purchasing board in accord with the Chester County Joint Purchasing Agreement as listed in the agenda. Is that sufficient for this motion? Jackie? Okay, thank you. I have a motion.
Motion to approve it.
Mr. Friel, and second was.
Second.
Oh, well, I'll take ours, thanks. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Matter is approved unanimously, thank you. Moving on to former 12.16, current 10.16, approval of agreements with East Coventry Township. Seeking motion to approve agreements with East Coventry Township for the closeout of the East Coventry Elementary School projects as presented in the agenda. Motion.
So moved with relish. So moved.
So noted. A second,
Yes.
please.
Second.
Dr. Elnazak, any discussion on this? Okay, we'll get right to it then. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Matter is passed unanimously. Thank you. And finally, before I grab a quick drink of water, former item 12.17, current item 10.17, approval of second amendment to a purchase and sales agreement. Seeking a motion for approval of second amendment to purchase and sale agreement between the Owen J. Roberts School District and Pennsylvania American Water Company to extend certain deadlines and change anticipated closing date as presented. The purchase and sales agreement was approved at the February 18, 2020 school board meeting. Executive files are attached because this is a real estate transaction. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Again, so moved with gratitude.
Mrs. Booth, and a second?
Second.
And Mrs. Prophet, is there any discussion on this item?
I had a quick question on this item. I just noticed it's a 30-day. Is there any, which means you'd have to keep coming back if the courts don't open? Can we just assertively
Yeah.
approve you can just continue to extend that 30 days until the courts open and allow it versus having to keep coming back each time?
Yes, actually,
Yes.
I had a discussion with Mr. Subers, and if the courts do not approve it within the next month, on our next meeting agenda, you'll see an action for approval that will extend it through the end of the year. So that
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, this motion is passed unanimously. Thank you very much. We are going to move on to the new item 11, which is the moved up correspondence section. Ms. Crumrine, do we have any board correspondence to report?
Yes, we do, Mr. President. We have 4 items. First item is from Heather McCreary, which is dated April 20th. The items she addressed in her letter to the school board, the items were email tone, coaches and teachers, graduation, and that there are 4 seats opening on the school board in 2021. The second email communication received was from Heather McCreary on May 1st, and that was regarding post-prom committee volunteer groups and that they remain ready to help as needed. The third board communication was from Heather McCreary, and she was sharing with the school board that she sent an email with ideas for graduation to Mr. Napaver. And the final board communication was received on May 10th, and this was a concern regarding recent events at the high school related to a faculty member. The communication was from various members of the classes of 2011 through 2019. That concludes my communication, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to new item 12, which is board discussion. We are going to make a quick couple comments, and then we're going to ask the board if they don't mind to hold discussion until after public comment on non-agenda items. But first, we want to acknowledge that we have, I think, one of our biggest school board meetings ever, whether virtually or in person, and likely it is because of the circumstances that are surrounding a teacher who has been charged criminally from our school district. Obviously, before we get to talking about this, I want to note as school board members our inability to speak as freely as we might like to and as freely as the community may be able to because of our responsibility to the district, which is subject to more constraints than, as I said, we may like. You may have read a statement that we have provided jointly from the board to the local newspaper, where we pointed out that, like the rest of our community, every member of the school board is deeply concerned about these recent charges filed against a teacher, and we wish to share our commitment to review not only the circumstances surrounding this case, but all district policies, practices, and culture. We may be a relatively new board, some much more so than others, but we're all committed to continuing the district's efforts to ensure the safety of every student, and we'll be considering a wide array of options in this effort, including those suggested by members of the community. As parents of current and past OJ students, we will be demanding answers and mandating action in order to join with our community and Dr. Lloyd in protecting kids. That's obviously the red portion of this, but I'd like to note that as a board, we have obviously been talking about this quite a bit, and despite our limitations in what we can appropriately say, I'd like to assure you that our discussions have not been on how little we can say, it's been on how much we can say. And it's not how little we can do, it's how much we can do it and how quickly we can do things, not how slowly. So while this may be frustrating as we work through deliberately and deliberatively how we should work on this, I want to assure everyone that we are looking to take action, and we're looking to share what those actions are, not to avoid it. I did want to take a chance because there are some things that we could do immediately, and administration and the board and our legal representatives have all been willing to pretty much spring into action to do the things that can be done quickly. And I wanted to give a couple folks an opportunity to discuss that. First, as Dr. Melnizak mentioned, we scheduled a special policy and legislative meeting for June, where we are pulling out all of the safety reporting and communication policies that that would have come into play or could come into play in these circumstances, and we're going to be reviewing all of them holistically. We are looking immediately at some curriculum review and some third-party consulting options. So I'd like to actually ask Dr. Lloyd if she'd talk about what it is we've been doing with the curriculum review and sort of share what the action's been so far.
Thank you, Mr. Minor. And so immediately we convened the curriculum committee to talk about what else we can be doing in addition to the curriculum that's already in place on personal safety. And personal safety is taught it's pupil services in the curriculum department partner on this particular curriculum, as do teachers and nurses and school counselors and crisis counselors and mental health clinicians. And so Dr. Soter pulled together our health and PE teachers because that's where a large portion of this takes place. And they looked at what our second grade curriculum is, which is called Safe Touches. We brought that in the 2018-2019 school year because that program comes from crime victims, and it teaches very young children in a developmental way about the dangers of adult inappropriate actions with children. So as we then started to look at the curriculum that we have for our 8th graders, that's where we start to teach about sexual harassment and dating situations, and noticed that our curriculum from that point forward mostly focused on peer interactions. And what we would like to do, and they've already started revising the curriculum, is picking up with where we, in 2nd grade, are talking about the dangers that trusted adults sometimes pose to children, reinforcing, reporting to trusted adults, that we teach that from a very early age, from kindergarten, about reporting to trusted adults, reinforcing that, and then looking at how we are teaching our students to utilize Safe to Say. That's the anonymous tip line that we brought in January of 2019, and reinforcing that all students have the ability to report anonymously should they find themselves in a situation that makes them uncomfortable with an adult. So those are the things that we have started right away so that they're in place come the fall of 2020.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the update. We also recognize as a board and administration that there can sometimes be issues that are not recognized internally, and thinking that there is nothing that is a problem when you're potentially in the middle of it isn't something that can be done. So we have asked our solicitors to look into what the options are with some of the constraints that we have with the third-party organization coming in and assisting us. Mr. Davis, could you possibly explain how that would work from your point of view?
Our firm is at the board's direction, as you suggested, Mr. President, and I'm not going to repeat the commitment you've made as a board and you just articulated to the well-being of the students, but to further that, we're in the process of identifying a third-party human resources consultant to work with us in the administration based on certain recent matters to coordinate an investigation, coordinate as necessary with law enforcement, and the third-party review, just as importantly, will review the audit and audit the district's policies, procedures, and practices. And some of you may be aware, there's been some amount of press. It's a couple thousand pages. There's been a guidance issued by the Federal Department of Education for Title IX, and you're charged with implementing those current guidance procedures, and we're going to suggest that the third-party consultant help us with that, or help the district. We will continue to look for proposals and, of course, continue to report to the board as soon as we have information.
Thank you very much.
Not on topic, I really apologize, but either I muted myself or somehow got muted. I did want to thank the board for our reappointment, and I'm sure Brian will be happy to be here with you going forward.
Thank you. And you've certainly been helpful in this situation as a practice, so we appreciate that.
Please do.
So I do want to reiterate our commitment to ensuring the safety of students and kids and our entire community, and our intention to work with admin, with staff, with students, with the community to find opportunities for further improvement, to extend a direct invitation to partner with administration, with REM, with REA, with the Teamsters. The community has no reason, if they are concerned with things, to trust us in getting any of this done. So I'm going to suggest that you not bother. Hold us accountable. We are looking at this. We're going to be moving forward. We're going to be doing things, and we're going to be reporting and talking with you. It doesn't always happen as quickly as you would like, and certainly in a matter of a couple of weeks, we couldn't get everything together for this evening. But I can assure you, by the next time that we meet as a community, we're going to have more to talk to you about. So to the extent that you can give us the time to do that, I appreciate it, but I don't expect you to extend that time indefinitely. And if we don't have something to discuss with you by June, we should. I will just quickly make the case that I think personally, if I'm doing my own soul searching on what I could have spotted and could have done better, and I think anybody that's not doing that might need to start doing a little bit of soul searching on that matter. And I just broke the rules because I started commenting before we were supposed to, and we're going to save that. We're going to move on now to public comment on non-agenda items. I would like to actually, if we can move somebody to the top of the list, if Ms. Graham is available. I don't know if her hand's going to go up, Mr. There she is. Ms. Graham is one of many people who were former student government representatives. They sent us a very well laid out letter with some good information in it and some reasonable requests. It is longer than our normal 3-minute rule. However, it represents so many people. I extended an invitation to read it at full length, and I hope everybody bears with me on that. So if you don't mind, I'd like her actually to start with reading her letter. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening. I'd like to make a brief comment before I read our letter to the school board in its entirety. First, I would like to thank the Owen J. Roberts School Board for allowing me to speak and read the entire letter. I'm one of the former Owen J. Roberts student government officers who signed a letter urging transparency and action for the Owen J. Roberts School Board regarding the recent allegations of sexual assault. I am speaking not only for 43 of my fellow student government representatives, but also 883 members of our community who have signed in support of our letter. In her May 11th letter to parents, Dr. Lloyd said, "I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we are shocked. I'm sorry to say, but there are many women who you cannot speak for. Owen J. Roberts graduates dating back to 2004 have come forward and described both their experiences of sexual assault within the Owen J. Roberts halls and how the administration has dismissed them and failed them. We expect the school board to rise to this occasion and remedy the pattern of misbehavior which has existed for many years. Our students deserve better. We've heard tonight of all of the great accomplishments that are tied to Owen J. Roberts, and I'm about to say, what I'm about to say does not negate those facts. In fact, we wrote this letter because we know ONJ's potential and we want to see the school live up to its highest standards. I will now read the letter that was collectively written by 43 student government officers to the Owen J. Roberts School Board. Let me just get that pulled up. So, dear Owen J. Roberts School Board, we, the undersigned, want our right to express our deep concern regarding the recent events at Owen J. Roberts High School. The importance of professional and trustworthy leadership from faculty members within the school district, including teachers, coaches, administrators, and school board members, cannot be overstated. While some of us walked the halls of our school's campus years ago, and others just months ago, we all have one belief in common. Students deserve to learn and grow in a safe environment. In March On March 16, 2020, a faculty member of the Owen J. Roberts High School, known to many of us as our student government advisor, allegedly sexually assaulted a minor on school grounds. We understand that on May 7, 2020, the faculty member was arrested and the school district initiated an internal investigation. We appreciate the school district placing the faculty member on administrative leave amid the investigation. The details of this incident left many of us, specifically females, recounting our own memories in the student government homeroom and wondering if we too were at risk. More importantly, we now know of other students speaking out and sharing troubling stories about said faculty member. Even though we may never know the full scope of this individual's inappropriate actions towards students over the years, we know that this faculty member's unprofessional behavior was no secret in our community. As news of the arrest began to spread across social media, on May 8, 2020, so did comments such as, "I graduated 12 years ago and he was flirting and touchy with girls in my grade for years." The faculty member in question would brush my hair out of my eyes and tell me how beautiful my eyes were. I'm glad he was finally caught, and sadly, not surprising at all. These remarks have many of us thinking about whether this could have been prevented. Was a pattern of misbehavior ignored? Should we have spoken up? The truth is, students did speak up. The teacher's inappropriate actions were reported and dismissed time and time again. In one instance, a student said, "I reported it to administration and they said, 'You took it the wrong way.'" As young adults, we are taught to trust our teachers and our school. That trust was betrayed. Even though, by and large, the faculty members at Owen J. Roberts High School are professional and respectful, we must hold those who doubted the students' accounts and failed to act accountable. We can all agree that there is a collective responsibility to create a safe learning environment, but there are certain actions that only the school board can take, which is why we write to you today. We want to ensure the proper procedures and protocols are in place to prevent similar misconduct from occurring again. Notably, this is not the first incident regarding faculty members' misconduct in recent years, and the lack of communication around these types of incidents makes students feel as though the school board is not up for the necessary, tough conversation on the issue of gender-based violence. We acknowledge that the recent school board members may not have been privy to the prior accusations against this faculty member or others, so let's emphasize our path forward. We cannot turn back the clocks, but we can look forward to the foundation for a brighter and safer future. For the school board, this newfound opportunity to be leaders in a difficult discourse and address gender-based violence among students as well. After reviewing the May 11th, 2020 Legislative Policy Committee Gender, we are happy to see that there are plans to address relevant policies. Knowing, however, that addressing this issue and building trust among the student body will take more than just policy adjustment. We collectively and respectfully are asking the following. First, that the school board consult with a third-party organization specializing in serving survivors of gender-based violence and preventing gender-based violence in order to review all avenues that students have available to report inappropriate conduct, both inside and outside the school system, including the sexual education program and crisis counseling. That following a review of available resources, the school district used best practices to make those resources identified above clearly available on the school's public platform and send a detailed summary of said resources directly to students and parents. That the school board publicly announce any shortcomings that it and/or any third-party organization has found in the aforementioned review, alongside a plan to fix those shortcomings no later than August 1st, 2020, in order to be implemented for the 2020-2021 academic school year. That the school board issue a statement of support for all survivors of gender-based violence, reminding all students that if they choose to come forward with allegations, they will be heard and treated respectfully without fear of retribution, while also promising to prioritize the experiences and perspectives of survivors in the future. And lastly, that the school board establish a task force to be involved with this issue moving forward, specifically working with the Title IX coordinator to review the grievance procedure. These requests are by no means comprehensive,
but rather the beginning of a broader conversation about gender-based violence, including sexual harassment, sexual assault, and student safety, a conversation which we look forward to being a part of. We commend all students who have bravely stepped forward and who continue to step forward, and we emphasize our support for the individual student who reported this alleged assault. To survivors who do not wish to come forward, know that your experiences are valid and that you are also supported. We understand that the school board is not in a position to comment on the ongoing investigation. Still, protocols and procedures can be reviewed in the coming weeks to ensure student safety, and the well-being of students is prioritized. For example, virtual resources such as virtual access to school counselors should be shared with students and done so on a consistent basis moving forward. We also acknowledge that the unprecedented circumstances of this school year create unique challenges, especially as many transition to online learning. We expect the school board to consider all scenarios as it plans for the upcoming academic year, including resources for students who are not available or are not always in a position to speak freely at home. We want to say loud and clear, we are concerned and paying close attention to our school board's response. Many of our parents and siblings also graduated as fellow Wildcats, so this alleged behavior in our community is personal. We can and must do better for our children who might one day walk these halls. May this letter serve as a reminder that our students of today quickly become the leaders of tomorrow. We look forward to your response to the above policy asks as we work to better our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to the next comment, I just want to quickly follow up with a thank you to you and all your fellow signatories on that, to your continued commitment to our school community and your service to it. I also note that we have obviously actually already begun some of these processes, so we are in agreement with you on many of them. And I will just say that if there is a school board at ONJ that is able to take on this tough conversation, I honestly think it's this one. So thank you for reading your letter. I appreciate it. And I thank everyone else for bearing with us. It didn't make sense to split that letter up 3 minutes at a time with 45 readers, so it just made sense to do it that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Prava, do we have anybody else that has their hand up to speak at this time?
Do. So first hand up is Tina Grant.
Yes, hi. Thank you again for recognizing me. And thanks, Mr. Minor, for the invitation to return. I just have two formality questions. One is, when will I be invited to return? And the other is it necessary that I file a right to know to get the legal fees broken out?
Invited to return, I'm not certain what you're asking, and actually I have to be honest, I have to defer to our legal counsel and Dr. Lloyd on that. Can we have them respond to you, somebody respond to you directly after the meeting, if we can get your information?
Okay, well, yes, you were the one who invited me to return to discuss my concerns.
Oh, well, this was the second part. I appreciate you holding it because you had gotten onto the topic of Mr. Rott, and we were, that was not on the agenda. So if you have further comment, now would be the time to do it.
Oh, okay.
Or your initial comment. Do you have further comment?
I do. I just don't have my notes with me. Pardon? Yes, and Molly, thank you so much for your courage in coming forth with this issue and reading that letter, and all the students that have come forth. I'm so grateful that they have that kind of courage and that they're spearheading this. And thank you also for the school board that is taking this very seriously. Really appreciate that.
Would you like to prepare your notes and return after another speaker?
I'm okay. I have it. So, as I was saying, in May of 2018, this teacher reported directly to Dr. Susan Lloyd in regards to Stephen Rott and his inappropriate actions and behaviors. And And then the then high school principal, Dr. Marchini, they dismissed this and did not take seriously this report. Jody McMahon sent this both to the school board at the time and by email and by certified mail. In response to her reporting, Ms. McMahon's mental stability was questioned and she was accused of being sexually inappropriate with a minor student. Also painting her in a horrific light. Mrs. McMahon underwent a psychological evaluation and presented it to the school board that she was not in any way a danger or a threat and was capable of retaining her job. But the school board moved to remove her from her position without pay, and she stands without pay for 2 years now with this hearing pending. I have witnessed actually, as I've been to these hearings personally, and I have heard the witnesses testify that the union rep, Mr. Rott, was involved with presenting things, and he was one of the witnesses that Mrs. McMahon wanted to call, but he was blocked. She was going to question him in regard to many things, but specifically in regard to his behavior with the students also. So yes, the students and the staff also testified that none of the behaviors that she's been accused of have happened. So they also were called down to an administrative office and statements were presented to them in regard to what they said, and they were asked to sign those statements, and they did. So as a result of this, Mrs. McMahon, a teacher in good standing up to this point for 10 years with the O.N.J. Roberts School District, was suspended without pay, like I said, and now she was unable to afford legal counsel, was unable to maintain all of her expenses, and was ruined financially. So she was also forced to represent her
time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Graham. Do we have an additional speaker?
We have Miss Colleen Blute next.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Lloyd, staff, and community members. My name is Colleen Blute. I reside in North Coventry Township, and I'm a graduate of O.N.J. Roberts High School. At the last board meeting, Mr. Minor stated he didn't like the tone of the comments. Mr. Minor, you do not have the right to infer the tone of the comments when they are not read by the author, nor are they read the way they were written. For you to say this implies to me that you do not want to hear public comment unless it is positive. Which brings me to why I'm here tonight. To speak out about exactly that. The word each of you have been emphasizing for the past 3-4 months, and that is transparency. With what is occurring now in this district, it is even more imperative that you demonstrate mutual respect between the school board and the community as questions and concerns arise during this challenging time in our world and right here in OJR. Without transparency and informing not just us about the positive, but about the current events in the community. To hear information secondhand is like the game Whisper Down the Lane. It gets distorted and people then become upset and disappointed in the people they elected. So board members, make sure you are giving the community the correct information and not spinning it to your benefit. And I have one other question. Why do you wait until the very last minute to put the Zoom link on the web page? That link should be on the web at least 1 hour, if not 1 day prior to the meeting. Mr. San Francisco can then invite them into the meeting. This way, no code is needed to enter the meeting. I thank you for your time, and I hope that all of you stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Prophet?
All right, next we have Miss Erin Marcellus.
Hi, am I on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, hi, Erin Marcellus from North Coventry Township. I have a question actually about the fall. I know that there are a lot of things that we don't know because we're waiting for direction from the state, but are you in the process of planning different models for reopening, and will they be shared with the community at any point?
Good question.
All right, next is Miss Claire Hampton.
No. This is my comment. Sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. Okay. Hi, my name is Claire Hampton. I'm in East Coventry. I'd like to comment on the danger of grooming and the pattern of institutional neglect and silencing this administration has created when dealing with the sexual assault cases. Dr. Susan Lloyd just opened this conversation with educating students at a young age. However, this is incredibly inappropriate and alludes to victim blaming. Grooming is the process during which a child sexual offender draws a child in by gaining his or her trust in order to sexually abuse the child and maintain secrecy. The offender may also groom the parents by persuading them of his or her trustworthiness with children. My senior year of high school, 2017, an assistant lacrosse coach, Connor First, who was 23 years old, shared a pornographic link into a group chat with 37 minors. Instead of our administration and staff taking the opportunity to educate our team about the seriousness of this issue, they told us to not worry because the issue had been dealt with. The issue, however, was not dealt with as there was no education on sexual predators. The team was told to continue on with our season and move past the issue because of our potential. Our coach and captains told our team to stay silent and not report about the issue around school and not draw attention to our collective experience of sexual assault. The team continued to write the coach's initials on their wrists before games, and the coach continued to attend our district and state run. There is no moving past sexual assault. It is traumatizing and detrimental to students' physical, mental, and emotional health. Thank you.
All right, next we have Miss Jennifer, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher the last name, Wunderlich?
It's on mute. Oh, hi, sorry. My name is Jennifer Wunderlich. I'm from East Coventry Township. I want to bring up my concerns, and I have a few questions. I have a concern about students who plead guilty in the court of sexual assault against a peer. How are they allowed to continue in the same extracurricular activity with their victim? There seems to not be any policy against this. In the high school handbook, it would be a level 3 misconduct and may result in up to 10 days of out of school suspension. There are many rules about tobacco and drug use, but none that I can find about peer-on-peer sexual assault. How can a student who pleads guilty in court then be allowed to stay in an extracurricular activity with his victim? How can this be allowed? And how many others are guilty in court and still allowed to stay in the same activity as their victims? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Miss Heather McCreary.
You could, yeah. Oh, hello. Sorry, my phone is like dying. I want to talk about 3 quick points. Number 1, I think it is very brave for these students to speak up. This is not the first time we've heard students, and in the summertime of 2018, we also heard 2 women speak about misconduct on a sporting team. And I am sorry, but 1 student reporting is 1 student too many. We need to investigate. We need to understand this. However, as a board member that served for 4 years, I want everybody in the public to know that the policies are in place already. There's mandated reporting. Every single staff person owes a duty to report, and there are policies in the policy manual that are in place. So it's not always this thing about making a new policy. It is also about enforcing the policies that are there. My other comment is back to I think it's really important not to lose sight of the kids during this period of time. And one of my concerns that I asked last week at the other board meeting was, are we getting band uniforms for the band students this year? I realize that we might not be back right away, but those kids have waited for years now to get their band uniforms. And I noticed on the budget, they are not going to be paid this year. So we need to owe to the kids not to lose sight of the other ongoing things that are happening. And lastly, I have had people texting me that they wrote in comments about graduation, and those emails were not acknowledged during board communication. So I'd like to know what happened to those. Specifically, there were requests to have the graduation outside. There were also requests to have a parade. Again, I said this in the beginning, we must do everything we can for this year's class of seniors. Please, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Next, we have Miss Katie O'Donnell.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I am just a concerned citizen. I am a teenager that was sexually abused by an adult in very young years. I ended up in 6 different high schools as a result, and it was traumatic. And thank God I'm still alive. So I pray for these children, and I don't see enough concern on your faces as that victim impact statements, were read today, or, whatever you would consider it. But the fact that there was a whistleblower 2 years ago that was on staff and then got accused herself concerns me most. When then it got turned on her, she lost her job, and the teachers union, the president was the one she was accusing. So the one agency that was supposed to protect her failed her on so many levels. And I just don't understand that's okay by, a doctor on your school board, or, the level of education that all of you find amazing human beings, and you do all this work for these kids, but you have to protect them first. And this has been, I graduated in 1999. This has been rampant since then. And if one person says something, somebody should listen. It only takes one person. And I just pray one of you, please just stand up with courage and protect the people that need protecting the most. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Mr. Tim Hennessy.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Lloyd, and guests. My name is Tim Hennessy from North Coventry Township. I have 2 items to address. First, I'm addressing the earlier comment about taking care of seniors. My father, State Representative Tim Hennessy, is willing to help. He can be reached at 610-326-2626. My second point is, in October of 2019, I approached O&J Roberts School District about a proposal to save money on the school district's energy costs for electricity, natural gas, and diesel fuel. Despite not being provided all the necessary data, we provided a partial analysis which showed a savings of over $57,000 for year 1, a total of $285,000 for over 5 years, and it could be more if we were sent additional information. I'd be happy to share that report with any member of the school board who's interested. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Miss Erin Dixon.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi there. Actually, this is Beth McDonald. We just happen to be in the same room. I'm from West Vincent Township, and I was wondering when the board or school would address with a more comprehensive breakdown of this education and other things that are either already in place, was the impression I was getting, or would be in place in the future. As these brave young people who spoke out, they would like a third party to be an oversight committee to something such as this. And I agree, as a parent of 2 younger children, I really wasn't aware until this incident occurred. And I asked my 8th grader, he said he's never received any education or training about sexual assault, or reporting to a tip line, or reporting to an adult of any kind. He's received on bullying, but not about this specifically. And he asked me, why are you asking? And he said, was there another rape at the high school? And that disturbed me enough to take pause and make me wonder about this school district that I obviously am so excited to have my kids in. It makes me very nervous for their future going forward. So I'd like to know exactly when we get answers as far as this comprehensive plan that's going to be put more into action to protect our kids. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we bring the next person on, I'll just quickly respond to that. We, as I mentioned, we will expect to have an update for you at the next board meeting. We will be working over the next month on that. Ms. Profit.
Next, we have Mr. John Wolf.
Hi, it's me, Pam Wolf from North Coventry Township. And I'm just calling in not to admonish you, accuse you, or demean you. I'm just saying that being on the school board is extremely difficult. We never know what's going to come up. And I wish you all the best of luck. And my only advice would be you're a good team of 10. You must work together and never exclude anybody, but I'm giving you my support, and so does my husband. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Miss Rose Jacqueline.
In light of recent events, I would like to inquire regarding policies currently in place regarding teachers being alone with students in classrooms. In particular, I would like to address students who might need to stay after school for extra help. I know some schools in our area have policies in place that protect students so that students and teachers will never be alone in a classroom one-on-one. Rather, if they require extra help, it will be in a group setting, typically in an open area like a library or a cafeteria. I would like to propose that OJR implement a similar policy ASAP.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have Aubrey's iPhone.
Hi, everyone. I am one of the signatories on the letter that was delivered to the school board. I wasn't planning on speaking this evening, but so excuse me for my off-the-cuff remarks, but it's just become clear that this is just personal for so many people. There are a lot of people on this call for a reason, and what is really going to move us to a better place is having the heart to recognize just what people went through, and that if anybody was in a position where they thought otherwise of this faculty member, even if they were in a position to defend them, that we can do better and we must move forward. And I just wanted to give a personal story in the sense that having worked on this letter and having been reached out to from some members in the community, that I've personally heard more stories that I would ever want to hear in a lifetime, let alone in what we've experienced in a week. And it's been something that I've now experienced in my dreams, like nightmares, from what I feel like are these people's experiences. And so I feel like I just wanted to say that just from my heart, from what some of these people are going through, that it will take a humbleness in all of us to move forward and to really make the school district what it can be. I want to support Molly, and I know that there are a lot of other people who signed that letter who are on this call right now, and just reiterate everything that was said there, that we have a newfound opportunity. We are proud to be Wildcats. That's why we all got together and wrote that letter. So we just want to see everyone live up to that high standard. So I just wanted to offer that, and hopefully you can take that piece home with you and use that to motivate you moving forward, to make sure that we can truly be proud of how we've responded to this, that when we look back on it years from now, we know we did everything we can to protect every student going in and out of our school building. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. Can I quickly ask you to give us your full name, because this is a public record? We do need to get your name.
Yeah, absolutely. My last name is Stuber, and my family's in East Namio.
Great. Thank you very much. I will remind everybody who does speak that we need your full name and your township of residence if you're within the district, and to let us know if you're not within the district. Thank you very much.
All right, next we have Miss Andrea Manival.
Hi. My name is Andrea Manival. I'm in East Vincent Township,
And I just want to, as a survivor of peer sexual assault a long time ago, and having to testify in a trial for my best friend who was raped and then in school, and going through that process and knowing how many women had come forward and they were not listened to. It is so important that every school board member please take this seriously, and I believe you are, but I just wanted to add my support. And having us 3 children in the district, 2 girls, and a son who's graduating next week or whatever week, tomorrow actually, Wednesday, whatever, he walks. But he had 3 teachers since freshman year that have either been arrested or the 3 teachers. And that's disturbing. So I'm just begging you as a parent, as a woman who's gone through this, who knows so many people and have heard a lot of these kids' stories from our school and hearing what my son has told me goes on and what the kids have do to try to help each other. Please just take this very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we do have Heather McCreary up again, but we do have one person below her, so I'm going to call on her first, and then we'll go back to Heather. So the next person is Kristen.
Have we lost Kristen?
I think we might have.
Okay.
Okay. So seeing no others, then I'm going to move back onto Heather.
Got to raise your hand. That's Claire. Hi, is it okay? Am I on now?
Yes, you are.
My comment is this. I know that I personally have texted several of you since we've been doing the whole Zoom thing when I couldn't get on and I couldn't hear. But I specifically saw you, Mr. Lawyer, that are getting paid a lot of money from this district texting during the meeting. And that is inappropriate. It is subject to a right to know. That is not something you should be doing during these serious concerns that have been brought up about young women and other students that have brought these issues before you today.
Okay, I see, I'm not sure if this is the same Kristen again, but it's a Kristen Evans.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I am Kristen Evans. I am a Warwick Township resident. I currently work for an educational entity myself. I am extremely disappointed. The administrators and teachers of this district, as you are all mandated reporters and go through a significant in-service training. The policies are in place. Why were they not followed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm not seeing any others.
We'll give everybody a minute if we have any trailing questions.
I've got one popped up. All right, again, it's Miss Tina Grant.
Okay, I just wanted to comment on the last person's comment about the policy in the district. I know Mrs. McMahon raised concerns about this policy, which is that if there's a concern about sexual abuse in any way, that teachers and employees of the district were supposed to go to the administrators, which is exactly against state law policy, which says that they're to report directly to an agency about the sexual abuse. And that was one of the reasons also that Mrs. McMahon was targeted. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm not seeing any others.
Okay, well, with no additional questions, I've been furiously scribbling notes as I figure other people may be as well. So we will be responding at a future time to some of these comments, and we will close public comment right now. Move on to item 14, which is board discussion and follow-up. This is an opportunity for the board to discuss topics, and it will bump into item 15, which is request for information. Anybody has any comment at this time?
Mr. Minor, I neglected in my report to mention tomorrow is the reopening Chester County School Summit. And so superintendents and public school personnel from across the county will be attending the summit. And then we will be preparing our plan for reopening schools in the fall. And so then we'll be able to let parents know what our plan is. And so it'll be a multifaceted plan for reopening schools. So we'll have that for the June meeting.
That was one of our questions, so thank you.
Aaron Marsalis, I believe, asked that question.
Yes.
Mr. Minor, I have two comments, one related to the discussion that we just had. And it's clear to me through the comments that we heard that a community is made up of more than just administrators and board members. I look forward to, as we engage with a third party to help us sort through policy, culture, procedures, you name it. I look forward to extending an invitation to the Roberts Education Association, the Teamsters, and any other organizations or groups of people who engage with the students in our district so that we totally encompass the community as a whole. And the second comment is as far as budget related items, in my mind, budgeting for the following school year begins right away. We heard several comments. Mr. Friel and I have discussed it at length at Finance Committee meetings. What many people don't realize is that the school budgeting process has a lag built into it in terms of funding and in terms of spending. And so you really need to look at the budget process over a multi-year period. As we begin looking at the second of these 2 years impacted by COVID-19 and maybe more, I think every option should be considered, whether that's pay to play, whether that's whatever it is. We can't make a decision until we have a fairly cognizant kind of approach in terms of a cost benefit analysis. And so as people have ideas, it's not just about doing the right thing because we live in times like these and budgets are going to be strained. It's really about what's the right thing to do. And that's the process I hope to work with you all on as we go forward. Many of us came on the board in November. Our first meeting was like January, and here's the budget and here's all the things to look at. And there's a lot of ideas coming at once. I think, yeah, it's tough. And I think we've got to sharpen our pencils going into what is an unknown future. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comment from the board?
Yeah, Carl, I just, yeah, there's a lot. I just say, I love this community. I think it's a great community, but your heart breaks a little bit when you hear the experience that folks have had. And I think, one person put it, when one person says something, we got to listen. And whatever that is reflected in terms of culture and practice and policy, I think that's the thing that resonates. And it's, we really got to just understand what a safe space looks like, what a culture that empowers kids, that they feel comfortable coming forward. And that there isn't, whether it's bullying or whether it's something, worse, like what we've been talking about tonight. I really look forward to, as John said, we got to engage the whole community and get all the stakeholders to the table and really just understand and look ourselves in the eye and say, is this, are we doing everything we need to be doing, and what can we do to do it better? And, I'm very committed to making sure that hopefully we can get those answers quickly, but it's going to be, I think, a long process. You know, what we do and report back in June, it's going to take a while. So that's just had to say that on that subject. Following up on the budget discussion, I think we don't know. I think it's fluid, and we're going to be looking at revenue as it comes in towards the end of August. We really don't know what that revenue right now. We're working with projections. And I think, you know, as we've had these discussions in the finance committee, a multi-year look at what we can do to cut to sharpen the pencil, I think is the right term, John, is to what's the appropriate funding for what we're trying to accomplish in our mission at O&J. And as we add and we look to add programming, we got to also look backwards in time and say, are the things that were there in the years past still what are going to drive us to the future from a budget point of view? And we got to make choices there. And we got to say, how are we going to, you know, what's the best way to do something? It's not always feasible to do it abruptly and just say, switch on a dime. But if we have a plan that uses, you know, a workforce plan over time or whatever all those ideas. And I welcome the community to ask those questions and put forward those ideas, because I think nothing's off the table. We just got to look and say, you know, how are we going to be smart over the next couple of years, not just because of COVID-19, but because, you know, the way this is funded, O&J is 89% funded on local taxpayer dollars. We need to be very cognizant of that. And, you know, we have vulnerable communities right now. But, you know, one good thing I want to say, the community does come together. We've raised over $18,000 on the food drive, and that's all folks in this community who are helping out other folks in this community. And that's a really great thing. So, I mean, there's a lot to celebrate here too. And I think we just got to keep pulling together. And, you know, O&J is it is a great community. And so I'm optimistic. So that's it.
I wanted to just clear up one thing around the audit/investigation. I'm just not positive it was clear based on some of the comments that were made that when our attorney shared about the fact that we asked them to engage in a third party to come in and audit our processes. And I think it was Heather who said, we definitely have all the policies in place. So it really is about practice and how do we follow those policies? What do we do in these situations? And what are our modes of operation around them? And so we have an investigation, obviously, that's occurring through the DA's office, but what we're doing is engaging a third party to investigate internally, how do we act upon the policies that are in place? So I just want to make sure that was clear, because there were a bunch of comments around policy and practice. So I wanted to share that really quick with everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Could I just tag on to that, one of the important things about doing research into policy, practice, culture, and all of that is that it is very important to do a thorough job. I don't think that we would be doing any student in our district the right thing by hurrying it. So I really think that we need to expect our timelines to be appropriate to a thorough investigation, a clear audit, a in-depth analysis. And personally, I am worried that that is going to go beyond the start of school in the fall. I know that that was one of the things that were in there. You know, we can't make any promises, but I just know my concern would be if we tried to deliver to a timeline that was too short, that we would not be doing the service that we need to. And I was part of a volunteer organization in the past where a pedophile was uncovered, and the investigations took a very long time to go through the number of people who came forward after the first person who came forward. And as a community, I do think that we need to, as Paul said, pull together and support the victims and ensure that things are done right so that there aren't any more in the future.
I agree. And to clarify, the idea that we would talk in June was to be an update on the beginning of the process, not defining what the process was necessarily.
And actually, one more thing. I would posit that the human face may look as though it is disinterested when someone has a slow burning anger.
That is an excellent point. Any other comment?
Am I unmuted? I am now unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Melissa Booth? Yeah. To respond to what Jennifer just said, I've sat for 7 years and I am exquisitely disappointed in many of those I had relied upon to follow the duty that is entailed in the entire Owen J. Roberts school community, and I am thoroughly disappointed. So I just wanted to say that to everyone and to Jennifer. I agree with your comment. Thank you.
I was thinking, Jennifer, about the same comment that you made and how your face reflects different things. And I have to say that since this was announced, it's the sense of shame that when things like this happen, that the rest of us that are teachers that we feel is the sense of shame. And that could be the look that people see on my face, because despite everything, this still happens. And it's embarrassing, and it tarnishes our profession every time it happens. And every teacher feels it, and every educator feels it.
And a few board members, at least. Oh, thank you. Do we have any further comment before we wrap up?
Carl, I just wanted to echo your comments earlier when Molly was speaking. Just commend the graduates for coming forward and speaking. I know it takes a lot to be able to comment on things like this that make you uncomfortable, and where you feel like your voice hasn't been heard in the past. But I can assure you that this team of 10 has heard everyone, and we are doing what we can to try to fix as much as we can.
Thank you very much. If there's no further comment, are there any requests for information at this time? Okay, hearing none, then we will move to adjourn this meeting. The school board meeting, May 18th, 2020 is now adjourned. Thank you very much. The board will stay on, and Dr. Lloyd for an executive session immediately following this. Do we need to jump?
This is a different Zoom link?
Right, it's a different Zoom link. So you have to go out to your calendar and click on that link.
Thank you very much. We'll see everybody shortly.
Thanks.